Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today, today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity yum. Bring your sour cream.
Haha, that's right, folks. We're having a good old time here on The Rundown on Taco Tuesday. It's a great way to kind of, make a Tuesday interesting is to have a cool taco. I have no idea what kind of tacos I will have this evening, but I'm quite sure that they will be quite scrumptious, as they always are. As you can see, it's just going to be me today. Mike is on the road, but he got called in, but he will. He says he will be watching, so we might see random comments from Mike somewhere during the program. As you know, Mike's always good for a smart aleck comment. But hey, I'm here, you're here, so we're going to have a good old time as we talk about some big stories, some big stuff that's coming down from the Supreme Court. But we're going to start off the way we usually do, and that's going to be with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. Now, they make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. All you have to do is go to hitmanindustries.net and check them out today. Now, if you've purchased an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels, which means why not get another one? So whether you're looking to do a brand new build or maybe you're looking to rebarrel your old rifle, start your experience with Hitman Industries. And then we've got the California Republican Assembly helping to work to elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You need to find out why. Just go to cragop.org and check them out today, because, if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then there's the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. You will find them at hawgholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, because they like helping Americans wear guns. In fact, they like it so much, they're willing to give you one on discount. All you got to do is use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there. You're going to get your hog holster on discount today. And then finally, it's about that time, folks. Weather's changing. We're going to be going out. We're going to be doing more shooting. We're going to be doing more stuff. We're going to be doing more hiking. You need to go to uscombatgear.com, because let me tell you, they have all things tactical except the gun. They got boots, they got pants, they got hats, they got backpacks, they got all the cool things for the gun. In fact, like I said, they have all things tactical except the gun. So you need to go check them out today. That would be uscombatgear.com. Also want to encourage you, if you have not already done so, you need to go to 2anews.us. That's 2anews.us, and you need to subscribe to the 2A newsletter. This is the place to get all of your Second Amendment news, whether it's blogs, whether it's news from Second Amendment industry, or whether it's, whatever the mainstream media is talking about. You will find it. It will be sent directly to your email box Monday through Friday every day. You don't got to look for nothing. It'll all be right there. So go there right now, 2anews.us. Good times, good times, good times. Also want to remind y'all, if you're watching this program during the 3 o'clock hour on the West Coast or during the 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast, you are watching us live. And if you're watching us live, that means we're taking your comments. Would love to hear what you have to say. Would love to hear what you think about the program. Would love to hear what you think about, the host. Make it good. Make sure it's good stuff. But would love to hear what you think about the various different topics that we're talking about. If we find it to be interesting, I'll share your comments with the audience. In fact, I don't care whether you agree with me or not, because if you disagree with me, well, then that gives me the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow, is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
That's right. As Mike would say, we will mock you. Anyway, good stuff, good stuff. So let's go with citizenship. The guarantee of citizenship to virtually everyone born in the United States. In a decision by Chief Justice John Roberts in Trump v. Barbara. Was it Barbara? Barbara. I'm sorry, Barbara. Was it Barbara or Barbera? I guess you pronounce it either way. Anyway, the justices agreed with the challengers, as well as all of the lower courts around the country that have considered the issue, that Trump's order cannot be reconciled with the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which confers citizenship born on anyone born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Writing for the majority, Roberts emphasized that the children born of parents unlawfully or temporarily present in the United States satisfy both elements of the Citizenship Clause. Under the Constitution, he concluded they are citizens at birth. In dissenting opinion, Justice Samuel Alito called the ruling both one of the most important decisions in the history of the court and a serious mistake. Quote, careful analysis of the text of the 14th Amendment and the process that led to its adoption, Alito argued, shows that it does not degrade the concept of United States citizenship in this way. Instead, he continued, the 14th Amendment confers citizenship only on those children who at birth owe allegiance solely to this country. Now, in understanding this, it's really important to understand the context. And this is where I think the justices in the majority were sorely, sorely wrong. And now, just mind you, I'm not an attorney. I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I know you guys love when I get that joke, but I just want to confirm, I'm not an attorney. But I do know that I've read a number of analyses, including that of both Justice Alito, as well as that, by the way, of Clarence Thomas. Now, if you want to know how Clarence Thomas feels about this, let's just be real. He wrote a 90-page dissent, 90 pages. Now, this is a guy who normally, all of his dissents, right? And they were wholly under the jurisdiction of the United States. And as was noted, and in fact, let me get over to Clarence Thomas's dissent. Let me see if I can find that for you. Because I think when you hear his dissent and you hear some of the things that are in his dissent, I think then you better understand what the judges who were in the minority were trying to say. And this is from over at Breitbart, but these are his words. It says here, Thomas wrote, the court says that citizenship clause incorporated in the English feudal principle that subjects owed lifetime servitude to the king who owned the soil on which they were born. But Americans unsurprisingly reject this feudal principle. Today's opinion devalues citizenship. I respectfully dissent. Now here's a little bit more I want you to hear. It says here, the court today takes the extraordinary step of holding facially unconstitutional president's order excluding from citizenship the children of foreign territory visitors and illegal aliens. In doing so, the court adds to the sad history of the 14th Amendment, which was designed and understood to secure equal rights for the freed blacks, but has instead been repurposed for political projects that Reconstruction Congress did not support. He goes on. Now this is a part that was actually co-signed by Neil Gorsuch. The Citizenship Clause was consistently interpreted not to apply to the children of foreign temporary visitors who were by definition not domiciled in the United States. Regardless of administration or party, the federal government for decades after the ratification regularly denied claims to citizenship by children who were born in the United States but not domiciled here. When a child was born in the United States to parents domiciled abroad, he was quote, not therefore under the statute of the Constitution a citizen of the United States by birth. And scholars agreed. So what he's basically trying to say here is that both through things like paying for housing, things like a lot of the things that they offer to people who are coming to the country, in particular coming to the country illegally, Now we're at a point where the cost of all of that is now borne by the citizens. Historically, if you came here to the United States, it was sink or swim. If you came here and you didn't find work or you didn't get work or anything like that, it was up to you to feed yourself. It was up to you to feed your family. Well, now, that ain't necessarily the case. Now we have situations where many people are coming over here and they're winding up a part of the social welfare system and partaking of the social welfare system, even though they're not supposed to. Even though you'll have people on the left will tell you that, well, no, they're not doing that. I would challenge you. Go to some of these, or watch on TV, some of these Chicago City Council meetings or New York City Council meetings where residents who've been told, yeah, we don't have any tax dollars for you to have programs to help you, but then turn around and they have tax dollars to benefit people who have come to the country illegally, right? They have housing dollars. They have welfare dollars. You look at the cost on our educational system as students, children who overwhelmingly don't speak English are now part of our educational system. They're now taking up spaces in classroom and they're getting bilingual teaching because, well, you got to provide that. It's draining on the resource, and that's one of the reasons why. It's kind of like saying, well, you know what? It's one thing to say, hey, I'll let you on my property, right? You can come be on my property to whatever. You can be my neighbor as long as you don't cost anything. But then when all of a sudden now you start trying to take advantage of the benefits, right? When I say the benefits, I'm specifically talking about the social welfare benefits. Because everyone has always been able to take advantage of the opportunities that are here, whether it's to work or whether it's to start a business or things along those lines. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here with the whole thing is this is a pretty big deal. And what it's going to do, and I to a certain degree, I understand why, in particular, some of the justices decided they didn't want to undo this, because I want you to think about this. What happens if all of a sudden it's ruled, yeah, simply being born here is not enough? Well, what if I'm 57 years old? What if both of my parents weren't citizens? Does that then mean I am now not a citizen of the United States? And I've been here my entire life. Or what about someone who's older than me? I mean, there are so many things. What really made this all kind of, quite frankly, unhinged was over 2 million people a year coming across our southern border, 2.5 million people a year coming over across our border under the Biden administration, where we literally had no check on immigration whatsoever. And many of them are here in the United States. And by the time they either get through the process or by the time we address all of them, many of them will be married, many of them will have children, and then their children will then be citizens. And then we argue, well, if the children are citizens, we can't kick their parents out. So then because the children are here and get citizens and get to stay, then people argue, well, then the parents should get to stay. That's where the phrase anchor babies comes from. It's an impolite term. I get it. I know to some people it's offensive, but you can't say it doesn't describe exactly what happens in a lot of these situations. You can't deny that is a reality of the situation. Anyway, this is a big one. Going to be real interesting to see how this plays out in terms of public policy, because one of the things that the president is doing right now is he's saying, Congress, look, y'all got to fix this. And I think this is a real opportunity, by the way. I think it's a real opportunity for Congress, for Republicans and Democrats to come together and talk about real immigration reform. Say, okay, tell you what, for everyone who was born here and is here, you're a citizen. Going forward, unless your status is you are here legally, like in some sort of a permanent status, and you are here legally, then you don't automatically get citizenship. I think that's something that can reasonably be done. And oh, by the way, it's also an opportunity to get some real reforms done. We finally got the border security that we wanted, right? We finally got that. So we've got the border security. Now we could perhaps do the quote unquote comprehensive immigration reform. I don't know that the members of Congress are in a position where they are grown up enough to do that. But it's an opportunity. You got a president who wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. If Democrats can get past the we hate Donald Trump stage, and Republicans can start to realize, look, we can get a lot of the things that we've said we wanted in terms of border security, in terms of immigration. We could get some. Title IX is based on sex. It's not based on gender or gender identity, right? So it's not based on gender, not based on perceived gender identity. In other words, you're born XX or XY. And if you're born XX, well, then we have special protections to allow you to be able to compete with other XXs. And if you're an XY, you got to compete with the XYs. It's not the fact that they're focusing on, and their whole lawsuit, the whole lawsuit in this thing was they were basically fighting to say that you can't ban a transgender woman who is XY, basically meaning by a biological male. You can't ban them from participating in biological female sports. And the law is specifically written based on the biology, because of the inherent, on average, in general, advantages that males have over biological males have over biological females. It was really kind of simple. And really the conversation about gender and gender identity had nothing to do with it, unless, of course, you happen to be on the left. Because they don't see to them, there is no biological difference. Well, that's just not the case. And the Supreme Court made it very, very clear that that is not the case. And this was an easy one. Once again, this was a 6-3 decision, no problems. It was just, it doesn't really necessarily speak to, once again, the gender identity issue. And that's the reason why I think you have so many parents who are just, who are even traditionally, on the left, who had a problem with this. Now, here's the other thing, though, that it does. It does not. So if you're a state like California that has protections that says, okay, well, no, boys can compete in girls' sports. Well, the problem with that is, well, they said that it protects, I'm trying to get this. It's saying that you can create a ban, but it's not saying that if you have something allowing them to participate, that is automatically overturned. So I don't believe, and once again, I'm not an attorney, but from what I have read by other attorneys, California's law, which basically allows boys to compete in girls' sports, does still stand. It just says that in states where they want to create that wall, that separation, they are allowed to. I still believe that. Now, there are going to be other lawsuits that are going to be making their way through. These are largely going to be female athletes who are basically suing places like the state of California or suing their local school district that allows boys to compete in girls' sports, and they're going to be suing under Title IX. I will bet you anything that those young ladies will win. But that's not what was decided in this particular case. So there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more to talk about when it comes to that one. Now, something else that I wanted to hit on, and it's not necessarily something that's going to be dealt with in this particular court, but it is something that is going to be dealt with in the next. Before I get onto that, let me read here. We got at least one more comment here, and this is from Lars Hendrickson, watching on Facebook. The art of war: pack a country with immigrants until the immigrants are the majority. No shots fired. The original country population is defeated from within by immigrants. And I don't know I don't know where in Sun Tzu that is in the art of war, but I do know that it is a tactic. I do know that if we don't make citizenship special, like semi-automatic rifles, one involves an ordinance in Cook County, Illinois, and the other centers on Connecticut's law. The justices will hear arguments in the cases in the next term, which begins in October. The cases are the first in which the High Court will weigh the legality of laws restricting access to certain types of firearms. In a landmark 2022 decision, the Supreme Court recognized for the first time that the Second Amendment guarantees the right to carry a gun in public for self-defense. But the justices had, until now, declined to take up challenges involving bans on AR-15s and similar semi-automatic rifles in Illinois and Maryland, leaving the laws in place. Which, by the way, I don't know why I didn't mention California, but we have similar laws here in California. Now, the interesting thing about all this is going to be understand that this is the most commonly owned rifle in the entire country. This is the style of rifle. You're going to come to find out that, and going to come to hear that many of the features, many of the things that are involved in these quote unquote bans are more features, right? They are things that make the gun work better. So it's like saying, you know, we're going to get rid of things that make a car better, right? Because it makes a car more dangerous. We're going to get rid of certain things that make a car a better car. Well, that's a lot of the things with an AR-15. They want to take the things that make an AR-15 a better rifle, and they want to ban them. They want to ban those features. But what's interesting about it is that when you go back and you look at those features, I mean, for example, in California, you can have what's called a featureless rifle, and in many of these jurisdictions, you can have a featureless rifle. All right, yeah, you can have a featureless rifle. Let me go ahead and switch cameras here. There we go. But you can have a featureless rifle. But I'm like, does it really address the core lethality of the firearm? No, it does not. And that's the thing. Anyway, what they're going to find is these firearms are both safe and they are in common use. The left wants you to believe that they're firearms that are used in mass shootings. They actually aren't. Handguns are the most commonly used firearms in mass shootings. After that, it's shotguns. So it's not ARs. They're not used. They're not involved in most gun deaths because, well, most gun deaths, the overwhelming 2/3 of them are actually suicides. Well, people aren't using AR-15s to commit suicide. So I think they're going to have a very could come back to bite him at the Supreme Court. Tenants groups and left-wing activists are cheering New York City's newly announced multi-year rent freeze, but they could be in for a judicial smackdown. Don't expect Mayor Zohran Mamdani's rent freeze to survive constitutional challenge. In 2023 and twice in 2024, a hesitant U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear building owners' challenges to New York State's rent regulations. Lower courts acknowledged the regulations dismissed the value of rental properties, diminished the value of rental properties, but said the state was balancing the right of owners and the need to protect tenants. At the time, Clarence Thomas said the constitutionality of New York's rent regulation is an important and pressing question, and that he looked forward to a rent control case that clearly demonstrates the government going too far to take an owner's property. Mamdani has given Thomas what he's been waiting for on a silver platter. Moscow Mamdani's scheme to deny landlords any rent hikes at all smacks of the kind of expropriation of private property that occurs in Cuba, Venezuela, and other socialist nations. Not in America. The U.S. Constitution prohibits it. And I think that is a vital point we're going to talk about here, because ultimately, here's the thing, folks. If I can't determine what I'm paying for something, and not only if I can't determine it, but if I'm made to a point where I can do nothing to cover the cost of maintaining it, basically what the state is doing, the state is giving my property to this other individual. They're telling them that even though it may cost you more money to own the property than you're going to be able to get in rent, meaning you're going to now lose money on the property, that we're still going to control your ability to raise your rents to even be able to cover your costs. Well, I have a feeling the Supreme Court is definitely going to come down on the wrong side of this one. And a big part of that, by the way, is going to have to do with, once again, the makeup of this court. And he is pretty much, like I said, giving them exactly what they want by overreaching. And that's one of the problems with a lot of this stuff is When you look at what, in particular, the far left or the democratic socialist left, right? When you look at what they are doing, they are clearly overstepping their bounds. And they don't care that they're overstepping their bounds. In fact, what they want is I honestly believe they want the Supreme Court to come back and rule against them. I believe they want anarchy in the streets because in the end, they just want to tear the whole system down. They want a revolution. They want to take away from those who have. And they believe that, all right, all of our parting shots today are going to be brought to you from the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust. Let's see, we only got a few of them here today. So I'm trying to set these up so I can pull them up. Okay, you might have been hearing about the, although right now it is pretty hot because they are dealing with a heat wave, but we have those here in Northern California all the time. Anyway, moving right along, for trans athlete ruling, Supreme Court invites Judge Matt Walsh to author opinion explaining what a woman is. Now, if you haven't seen his documentary, What is a Woman, I encourage you, take a moment. Take some time, go watch it. It's hilarious. And then finally, Supreme Court rules any baby born in an Olive Garden is an Italian citizen. That's kind of what they did. Anyway. All right, folks, that now brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to do one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with folks over at Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. We got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out today at cragop.org. The best in concealed carry tactical holsters can be found at Hog Holsters. That's hogholsters.com, H-A-W-G holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And finally, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, and that would be at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking